Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining me tonight on Real Talk with Jean Price. I am so glad you tuned in. We are going to have a great show. On behalf of my team and I, we hope and pray that you had a wonderful holiday season on Christmas, and we want to take the time to wish you a very, very happy new year. Listen, this show is going to be great. You have time to like, to share, to comment. Go tell your friends to join us. I am so excited about tonight's show. I guess because it's going to be so much that we're going to talk about that's going to be great. But I want you to sit tight because I want to welcome my co-host. She's amazing. She's just a wonderful person to be around. I love her dearly. So I want to take the time to welcome my co-host tonight, my granddaughter, Morgan Felician. Morgan, join me tonight on Real Talk.
Hi guys, I'm Morgan. Thank you so much for having me. I am so excited to be co-hosting with my grandmother, Jean Price. Today, it's not just going to be Real Talk with Jean Price. It's going to be Real Talk with Jean Price and Morgan Felician, okay? Over the last year, you've been doing this show, Ma, and I want to know how it felt meeting all these new people and letting them tell their story.
Well, thank you for asking that question, Morgan. And you know what? Thank you for being on Real Talk with Jean Price and Morgan Felician. It's been great. This has been such a year of so many things, Morgan. We've talked about veterans. We've talked about the power of music. I've had so many great people on the show. Some that come to mind really quickly. Did a beautiful show with Dr. Tay, whom I love so much. Just her input and her knowledge in the field that she's in. Even meeting, we had a married couple that came on, Morgan, Daryl and Denise Wilson, who I just adore them. So this has been a great year filled with so many good things. And let me tell you, on Real Talk, being able to talk about things and then getting people to find out how to deal with things, to me, that's what I love about it because it brings insight, so that's what this year's been really great.
I just can't wait for 2022 to see what you guys come up with.
Ah.
I love that on Real Talk, you guys really talk about things that are real.
Yes, we
And
really
that's
do.
really amazing that you guys can just talk about the world's problems other than hide from them and just talk about things that we know are fake.
Right. That is absolutely true. It's really true.
So is this something that you've wanted to do since you were younger, or what point did you want to start interviewing people?
Well, let me tell you this, and I don't know if Grandma ever shared Ma, because I know to my viewing audience, she calls me Ma. So for me, Morgan, you know what I wanted to be growing up, Morgs? I don't know if I ever shared this with you. I wanted to be a professional choreographer on Broadway. And it's so crazy that you're in dance, that you've been in dance for 7 years, and they love you in the dance school. But my desire was to be a professional choreographer. I was really good, and I gotten so many, it was headed in such a great direction, but life happens. So what in my church, and just me as an individual, as you know my story, Morgan, coming from being such a broken little girl, I always had a passion to go back and help women and girls. And it's interesting because I heard Bishop Jake say this one time: you find your passion, follow your passion, you'll find your purpose. And I have to tell you, Smarts, that has carried me so much because I found my purpose is not just helping people, but it's also taking the anointing that God has placed on my life and God using that to aid people in the direction that He wants them to go. So I have to tell you, from that, it caused me to just want to talk to people more, not just women and men too, and just kind of tap into those resources to help people.
I love that. Find your passion and find your purpose. That is
Yes.
amazing. And God opened those doors for you for a reason.
He did.
That is great.
He really did.
What does it mean to you when you hear the words, "I'm pursuing my dreams"?
Oh my goodness. Now, where I am now in my life, Smorgs, at 56. 56? I'll be 56 in 3 weeks. I'm sorry. So I'll be 56. And right now, that means so much more to me because I'm in a different phase or a different season of my life. And I feel even more of that purpose driven kind of thing to do for God more than I've ever done before. And it's probably and most likely because I've seen myself grow and develop, into the woman that God wants me to be. Though we're all constantly growing, and you'll see that as you get older. But I feel it even more than I did before. So in this season of my life, I want to push even harder. I want to do even more. Michelle Obama wrote a beautiful book, Morgan, entitled Become or Becoming. And if I can just take that little title from her book and giving her credit, I want to become more of what God wants me to be.
That's amazing. I've always wanted to do more, not just for myself, but for others. I've always wanted to inspire. And I love how you want to do that too. It's just amazing. You're very inspiring, and I love you for that.
Oh, smart. I love you too.
So, it's been a difficult time for a lot of kids that can't play or do the things that we got used to in that norm before COVID. So, what coping advice can you give to us?
It's been hard. It's hard for you guys as kids. And I only can imagine, especially you in this case, because you love school. You love school. You do, right? You're reading, you're always, and I know, like, makes you smile. And, having you all, me as my grandchildren, the 6 of you all, it has to be very difficult because times is so different than they were when we were coming up. We were coming up, Morgan. We go outside. We're playing kickball. We're doing all kinds of things. But now when you guys have to go out with this COVID hanging in the air, everything is different. I can only imagine what you guys are going through. So my advice to my grandchildren, to other kids, is use this time to just learn more. A lot of time, people, like you guys, are all in the house a lot because of what's going on. But use the time wisely. You know what I'm saying, Morgan? I know, and you're a kid. I get it. And you guys, a little. But use the time to learn, to read, just want to know, just to do more, for yourself. Maybe do more, less arguing with your brothers. What about that, Morgan? Or playing with Maddie, your sister, a little more. So just spending that time with family, that's important. That's really important.
I've actually been thinking about that. Like, if I have this life and I'm going to live it, I have to learn how to cherish the moments.
That's interesting. Yes, and I totally agree with you. Yeah. For us, we were supposed to go to Rockefeller Center, right?
Yeah.
On Christmas Day to go ice skating, as you know, but some things transpired and we weren't able to go. And for me, I was so excited. I was so excited to go. So I'm glad that we're able to do a rain check. And we're still going to go ice skating. We still have the car that's going to take us. And we're still going to go out to dinner. So I am truly looking forward to spending that time with you and your cousins and your brothers and sister, for sure.
I am so happy about that too. I was looking forward to it. Like, I was reminding myself every day, be like, it's going to happen today. No, the next day. And then I kept reminding myself. It was going to be so fun, I'm telling you.
Right. And it's interesting, Morgan, because you can ice skate. I can't ice skate. So the truth of the matter, hopefully grandma wouldn't have fall, but I'm still looking forward to us, spending that time together.
That's great, Ma.
Yeah. So, let me ask you a question, before we go to commercial break. You were asking me about some of the guests that were on the show. I had a thought, Morgan. I had 2 sisters on the show, right?
Yeah.
And they're in ministry together. They're very good dear friends of mine and Digi, Grandpa. And I think that was probably one of the most powerful shows that we did because they work in ministry together, but yet, of course, they're sisters. And what's it like for you? Let me just ask you this question, too, because you have a little sister and she's 3 and you are 10, right? What's it like for you to have a little sister? Like, do you feel that, does she get on your nerves? Like, tell me about that with Matt.
Sometimes it may be overwhelming, but overall, I am so grateful to have her. I mean, I literally prayed for her, and I feel like God answered it. So, I have to take care of her. It's my responsibility. No matter how frustrating anything gets, she's still my little sister, and I'll still love her for just being herself.
Wow, that's good because and it's interesting for people that may not have know Maddie, like people see you because you're on StreamYard with Dear Black Girls. Maddie is so glued to you, and when I see the 2 of you together, I never had a sister, so I always wanted a sister. And when I see the 2 of you, it's like, wow, I love the relationship that the 2 of you have. Like your mom has your TT and your Nana, and I just never had it. So my daughters have, their sisters, and you have a sister. I always wanted a sister, but then on the other side, what's it like having brothers?
Brothers, don't get me wrong, I love them, but there are the things that they do that they differentiate from us, and sometimes it's just like I want to say overwhelming, and but they still care for me, they love me, they protect me, and I know
Yes.
you know that feeling because I know you had brothers, and
Yes.
and they really just protect you. And
Yeah.
my brothers aren't like overprotective, but sometimes I feel like, like I want to do this, they don't want me to do that. It's kind of, but overall, I love them and it's great.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up, Morgan. Now that we're talking, because I have 5 brothers and me. So you can only imagine what my childhood was like.
Five
And
brothers.
and my youngest brother, who's 3 years younger than me, Uncle Olowa, who thinks he's older than me. And you're so right. They wouldn't let me do this. They wouldn't let me do that. And I'm looking at them like, are you serious right now? But then on the other side, I'm so glad you brought that up, that there's any children that's watching. It is such a great feeling as the girl to know that, you know what, I have all these brothers behind me. So you're right. It is a good feeling. And I remember as a little girl, there was a young man. I was in elementary school, Morgan. I don't know if grandma ever told you this, and I'm telling you this live on Facebook, but there was a guy in school that was literally bothering my little brother. And you know what grandma did? I turned around and punched him in the face. Now, you know that's not my personality. Oh, Lord, that's just not me.
I'm so surprised right now. I'm
I
like,
know, I know you would be shocked. But what happened was, like you said, it's something kicked into me. I was like, you better leave my brother alone. So growing up with brothers, it was, I like your word, a little overwhelming. But on the other side, I became the protector for my little brother because that young man was bothering my little brother. So it's good having the older brothers. And I'm the one that reaches out a lot because they're like all busy. So I spend a lot of time keeping in touch with my brothers. I love it. I have to be honest. I always wanted a sister. I did. But it is a great thing to have a bunch of brothers behind you. So I like that part too. I do.
Back when I just had my 2 brothers, I had always wanted a sister. I was like, but I can't do this. Nobody's gonna play with me. Nobody's spending time with me. And then when I get Maddie, I realized she can't play with me right away. What? And now that she can play with me, she has a mind of her own. She does what she needs to do.
Yeah. Let me ask you, Morgan. It's so interesting. And for those that are listening tonight, this is such a great recap toward the end of the year. What was Christmas like for you this year?
For Christmas this year, it was my first time really watching Maddie interact with her presents, be like, I want this off, rip it off. I want to see what I got. And I know she was hoping for a lot of things that she got. And I know that she's younger, so her presents, like, it was like amazing to watch her be so excited for the things that she got. And she was grateful for it too. She went ahead and was like, Morgan, I want to open this right away.
Okay, well, now for those that are watching, Morgan has been in dance for about 7 years now. She started when she was 3, and she's 10. And Morgan has now moved up to the Starlights. So what do they call?
No,
the Starlights.
I'm in competition now.
She's in competition. So Morgan, share with the viewing audience tonight. Your parents have had you in dance for years. Now it's not just your parents putting you in dance. Like, oh, I'm going to put my daughter. Now it's Morgan taking ownership of finding what she likes, and she really has a niche, and she's very creative. So what has dance been for you?
Dance, I guess it's just something where I can go and I can express myself. Like, there's this form of dance called lyrical, right? It's my first year taking it. But when you do improvisation with it, you can just put all your feelings into it. With dance, it's all about expression and musicality and feeling the music and feeling yourself. And it's just amazing when it comes to dance. And I can just express myself.
So while you're expressing yourself in your dance, because there are kids that are going to watch this on the playback, and they're going to chime in and try to understand what you mean. So when you're expressing yourself in dance, what's going through your mind? Like, are you talking? What are you thinking about? Like, what's going on in your mind while you're dancing?
For me, so when you're dancing, you have to have abundant amount of musicality, which means you have to know what they're saying. You need to hear their feelings along with yours, and you just tap that in to how you felt today. Like,
Mhm.
let's say I had a happy day, and then we're doing like an improvisation about like dancing in the rain, and you really just feel what that's about.
Interesting. Okay. So while you're dancing, you're thinking about it because in my creativity, even though I don't dance anymore,
Mm.
but I am still creative and I decorate and different things like that. It's I understand what you're saying because I can feel. It may sound strange for those that are watching, but I can feel how the room should look. Like I
Yeah.
don't know, I can't. It's just something about that creativity that goes on in my mind. I can literally feel how the room should look. And then before I turn around, it's like, voila, that room looks exactly how I thought it and how I felt it should.
Yeah,
You
you
understand what I'm
close your
saying?
eyes and you see everything that's going on. And
Wow.
it's a great feeling.
Wow. Yeah, it is because I can take that blank canvas and then next thing you know, it's alive. Is
Yeah.
that kind of like how you feel when you're dancing?
Yeah, pretty much. It's like you want this to happen and it does.
Wow. Okay. That's really good. So now that you're where you are in dance, another thing that you love for those that don't know you, and I mentioned it earlier, Morgan loves school. She has such I can't even explain it. Like, you know how some kids just want to go outside and play and she goes out and she plays, but it's something scholastically that Morgan gets out of going to school. Kind of share with the viewing audience about your love for school.
For me with school, it's not just going to see my friends, it's having knowledge, it's learning. It's the
Okay.
education behind it. Cuz there's so many things I don't know, and
Mm-hmm.
then I'm like, I want to know this.
Mm-hmm.
This is something that I need the knowledge for.
Wow. Okay.
And especially with math, when it comes to math, I just the algorithms appear in my head. It's just like like arithmetic.
Love it.
You write it all out.
Right. Okay. Okay.
It's just
That's
so
awesome. And can I say this? We're going to take a commercial break, and we're going to come back and continue to talk to Morgan. My favorite subject in school was guess what? Math.
yeah.
So I am watching my granddaughter grow and develop in almost the same passions and like and things that I like as well. But listen, don't go away. Morgan and Jean will be right back after this commercial break. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Real Talk. Listen, I am so glad you tuned in tonight. We are having the time of our life. This is the last show for 2021, and my team thought it not robbery to just go ahead and end this year with such a beautiful light show. And I am so glad to invite, I have a co-host. I have a co-host tonight, and I'm loving it. But I want to welcome my co-host back to Real Talk, Morgan, my granddaughter. Come on back to Real Talk with Jean Price.
Hey Ma, I'm loving the show so far. I'm just having the time of my life here, and I love how I can just talk about it. And this is just amazing. It's such a great experience.
Well, I want you to know, Morgan. Catherine has chimed in and said it's beautiful. Carla has said, wow, you're a little genius. Yesenia said, Morgan expresses herself so beautifully. And of course, Taylor chimed in and she said, "That's beautiful, Morgan." So we've been talking about what's the things, the different things that Morgan likes, and has had an opportunity to talk to me as her grandmother. And what's it like? How did I get started? Where did it all start? So, Morgan, I want to go back to what we were talking about. When we ended the show before the commercial, you mentioned math, and I was saying to you how much I love math. But for you, Morgan, how do you feel now compared to last year?
So now I have so much on my plate. I have to say, I am so grateful for so many more opportunities that I have gotten and all the doors that God has opened for me. But I have to say, sometimes I feel like, am I spreading myself too thin? Do I
Mm,
have too much going on? But
okay.
I have to say, last year, I wanted more for myself. I heard, oh, I'm doing this, and that from all my friends. And I'm like, okay, but I'm just doing dance. So I want to do more.
Okay.
And this year, I feel like I've achieved that.
That's awesome. So, what are one of the dreams that you have? Tell me about one of the dreams you just have in your heart.
So, really, for me, I really want to become a better singer. So, I have a winter
Wait.
concert.
Stop the presses. Hold on a second. You want to sing?
Yes.
Really? Morgie, that is so awesome. Tell me about that. I had to stop you for a second because you're so good at so many things. I never thought singing was one of the things that you really love, but I'm glad you're sharing that. Tell me about the singing.
So I'm in my chorus at school, right? And we're having our winter concert, and I still haven't gotten the news on if I've gotten a solo in a few songs yet. And
Okay.
I'm really like hoping for it. And there's so many things that I do that's related to music. And music is just so important to me. I mean, I'm learning how to play the guitar, I'm going to dance competitions, and it all comes back to music.
And what is it about that music that you like so much? I mean, is it just something that's inside of you? Like when you say to yourself you want to sing, what sparks that inside of you? Like, I listen to my viewing audience. I hope you can all hear me. I wish that I could sing. If I could sing, you guys would have a hard time keeping me quiet. I am a worshiper, but I cannot sing. So, what is it about singing? Because Nana sings, Digi sings, your mother sings, your TT sings, everybody sings but grandma. I'm just saying for true. But what about you, Morgan? What about the singing? Like, what pushes it so much?
You pretty much just laid it out. It's the family behind it. I just love being able to express myself, but I also know that my mom has done this, my aunts have done this, even
Yes.
my siblings do it. And it's just amazing how music just flows through all of us, and that flow is what gets me into it.
Wow. So, has there ever been anything that has gotten in the way of you pursuing that dream?
Well, not really until, like COVID-19 came. Then I wasn't really able to do as much as I wanted to do. And then when I started to be like, I'm not going to let this stop me, I'm going to do more, then the more that gave me an opportunity. And
Hmm.
those opportunities may spread me out,
Okay.
but that is what I wanted. I wanted more,
Okay.
and that's what I have.
So, let's talk about that for a second, Morgan. COVID-19, since you brought it up, how do you feel about the coronavirus?
With coronavirus, I just feel concerned. I mean, nothing's the way that we used to call the norm. Whatever the norm used to be for you,
Hmm.
now COVID-19 interrupts my education. It interrupts my socialization, and I just feel so much concern for my loved ones.
Hmm.
And
And
now
how,
and now my schools are thinking of like, going back online, and I feel like I'm not as perceptive when I learn online. So I feel like it's been impacting me in such a hard way.
yeah, that's exactly where I was going to go, Morgan, because before the Christmas holiday, they had you guys say, listen, no, you have to go online for school.
Yeah.
But to your point, I'm concerned, not that I don't want people to be protected, from COVID-19 and the Delta and all of the stuff, but what happens to you guys as children in trying to navigate online? Because I know it was such a struggle. So what plans do you have? If you happen to go back online, how do you plan to navigate through that?
So with online, in school, we've already been practicing everything. And I have to say, like I said before, it's a lot on my plate because I have to do all this and then I have to balance it all online.
Right.
And when you're online, you have to start a new thing. You have to go, like, when you have that plus sign that says new tab, you're adding another thing over and over and over again. You have to go back. And then what happens if something goes wrong? Then they have no way to help us when something goes wrong, especially if we're at home by ourselves.
That's
They
interesting.
can't help us. Then we are robbed of our right to get education.
Wow. Now that was powerful, what you just said. That was very powerful. And it's true because as you can see, when you went back to school in person, I mean, you were always excelling, but you were really excelling. For those that don't know, Morgan, you were skipped, right?
I think I started earlier.
You started early. I thought your mom, you had taken a test and you were skipped or something like that. Okay, because you're in what grade? 7th grade?
6th.
6th grade. Okay. So when you're outside with your friends, how do your friends feel about COVID?
So I feel like you said before a little earlier in the show, COVID is just lingering in the air. And we're afraid of it sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
And we just feel, like I was saying before, that concern.
Mm-hmm.
And we can't just go out and play like we used to. We have to go out, put our mask on, and play while keeping ourselves a little far away.
Right. It's true. Well, this past Christmas Eve, which was last Friday, Morgan and I had an opportunity to give toys out to the community. We had such a great time. Morgan, why don't you tell my viewing audience what it was like in the preparation as we got the gifts? Let's kind of talk about that for a minute. What was it like to do something for the community?
I love donating and giving back to people. Like whenever I see somebody, I'm like, all right, can I donate to these people now? And when I'm setting up, I just feel a liveliness in it. I'm like, I'm doing this for a purpose. This is going to go towards something. I'm not doing this for nothing. I'm doing this for something. This is going to help somebody.
Wow.
And I just love that feeling. Setting up the tables. I love doing work.
Yes.
I just love doing it. It's just amazing.
Yeah. We had a lot of fun. And on Christmas Eve, we had families that came by. That some of them weren't as fortunate as us. So being able, right, Morgan, to give them something, it was just a beautiful thing. And then the other thing we did, Morgan, let's also tell them we had an opportunity. Morgan was so good. You set up breakfast. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about the breakfast.
So with breakfast, instead of just going and getting breakfast for ourselves, we went ahead and got breakfast for all the volunteers that decided that they would come spend their Christmas Eve and help others. And it was just amazing. We had our muffins and our bagels, and it was just amazing just like sharing that with each other.
We did. Let me ask you, Morgan, what could you do? We're going to be preparing again for, Lord willing, 2022. Going back out into the community. We're just giving away toys. What could you say to a child that could be listening right now? What would you tell them about how they can help? Because hold on, before you answer, because Carla chimed in and she said, this child, meaning you, has been here before. Laugh out loud. I love her whole life. Let me take Carla. I feel exactly the way you feel. She is before her time. You are before your time. But Morgan, what could you say to some kids? Because we want as many volunteers as we can. What could you say to them about helping us next year?
I would say put yourself in their shoes. They feel these things. They're less fortunate than us. And we're trying to give back. And imagine if somebody just passed the opportunity to help you. How would that make you feel?
Right. That is so true.
So take that feeling and know that that's how somebody else is feeling when you just drop it, you neglect it.
Wow. Yeah. That is so true. 2022 is only a couple of days away, Morgan. Yeah. What is something you want to achieve next year?
So next year, I feel like I want to keep going. I want to aspire to be my best self. I want to pay it forward. I want to inspire others. I want to elevate.
And when you say elevate, what do you mean?
I mean bring others up. I want others to feel the best that they can feel about themselves. I want their self-esteem to be up,
Mhm.
because I feel like that's so key when you're talking about yourself. Because I know, like, some people can look down on themselves just because other people have other things, and
Mhm.
some people can be so ungrateful or
Right.
and just neglect the fact that they have this, and then remember the fact that somebody else has that.
And let me say this, your parents have done such a great job, my son-in-law and my daughter, in building your esteem. And, for those that are listening, it is so important. And, I'm very transparent. And those that know, I work a lot with women and girls. It's so important when you build that esteem in that, because we're talking about girls right now, and whether girl or boy, but in this case, Morgan, when you build that esteem, when you make them feel and know that you're important. And your parents have done a good job in
Yeah.
your confidence is what I'm saying. Like you're very confident in how you speak. You're very confident in knowing that they love you. You're very confident in loving yourself at such a young age. So let's talk about that for a minute. What are some of the things that your parents share with you about you to make you believe more in yourself?
They basically just they tell me I can do it, and you don't know how much that means to me. When I'm thinking of giving up, they say, we don't give up. Don't just give up on this. Pursue your dreams, give your passion. because
Mm,
because in real life, when you get to that, procrastination is not an option. You have to persevere.
wow. Say that again to us adults.
When you get to life, procrastination is just not an option. You have to persevere. You have to keep going. And
Mhm.
that's what my parents give to me. They give me they assure me that I can do it.
Right, right.
And they let me know that if I fail, I just get back up again. And then if one door closes, another one's going to open.
And that's what I was going to go next, because I was going to ask you, when you have felt like you failed a test or something like that, how do you handle it? But you answered it. Your parents have taught you. Even in that, okay, the next time I'll get a better grade. So it's kind of what are your grades like in school?
90 up, 90 and up.
90 and up? Wow.
There's the
That's
rare case where I get an 80 something, but yeah, 90 and up.
well, it's a what? A rare
There,
case?
there's some cases where I get like an 80 something, like 85 or 89 or something like that. But usually like 90 and up.
Okay. Now, how does that make you feel? Does that make you feel that you've accomplished what you wanted to accomplish, or do you feel that you want to go to your point even higher and do more with school?
When it comes to tests, I'm like, I need to do my best. If I get this grade before, I need to make sure I get this grade next. You know what I'm
Oh,
saying? Like, there's always room to improve for me. I don't
mm-hmm.
care if I get the bonus. I want to still work hard.
Wow. Okay. Now, do you find that there are other kids in school? Okay, this is a good question. Do you find that some of your classmates struggle with, and I'm going to use this word very lightly, with the success of your scholastic abilities? Do you find that because kids can become jealous or be a little intimidated by the fact that you grab things really quickly, kind of talk to us about that a little bit.
So like with my class, with my school, I mean it's middle school. Like we're like, if this person has this, why don't I? And I
Mm,
feel like some of the people that I know, they are amazing with school, or some of them want attention or want to do something funny so that the class likes them. And then the rest of them kind of just want to be themselves, you know?
mhm.
So when it comes to my class, I don't feel like anybody feels intimidated by me. And if somebody did, I'd know I'd want to comfort them about that.
Oh, and how would you do that?
So let's say this. So I'm a tutor for somebody that I know, and I I like helping them and showing them different ways. And I
Okay.
do that in class too. Like there's some people that I know that just don't pick it up as quickly, but
Mhm.
I like helping people. I like letting them know that they can do this if they do it just a tiny other way, like twist it up a little bit.
Okay. That's interesting. You know, there's other little girls that I've met to my viewing audience. Some of Morgan's friends, and we've had an opportunity. And one of the passions that Morgan and I have, for those that are listening, is Morgan and I love Broadway.
Yes.
Morgan and I, like, we get so excited when it comes to going to see Broadway plays. And one of the plays that we saw during the pandemic, which came on Disney Plus, I think it was Disney Plus,
Yes.
I went over to her house and we saw Hamilton. Oh my goodness. Morgan, we have to tell our viewing audience what it was like to sit there, because our creativity, both of us were sitting there and it was flowing. What's it like to have a passion to love Broadway like that? Because we're like, we love Broadway. Tell us about it, Morgan.
When it comes to Broadway, you're just watching everybody act it out.
Mhm.
And you see the emotion on their faces. You like when somebody goes like 1 second to smile, 1 second down, you're like, oh my gosh, are they okay? And then oh my gosh, I'm so happy for you. And then you can really feel it.
Yes, yes.
They're so talented.
Yes.
And you're like, I'm gonna be this one day. Maybe not on Broadway, but I know I have the potential. I can do this.
Yes, yes. And so much so, guys, that when Hamilton was on Disney Plus, Morgan knows every song. She got up and she was directing herself while the play was going on. That's just how much that we're just hooked on Hamilton and Broadway. And she was explaining to me when I first went over what the whole story of Hamilton was like. And what were some of the things you used to say to me, Morgan? Hamilton, Hamilton, Hamilton. Like, what was it? She would just sit there. Tell us kind of like that. You would mimic some of the things that they would say and everything. That's just how much she loves
There
Hamilton.
is one part when he was like, I'm not throwing away my shot, right?
Yes, remember that part? Yes.
Yeah, and the way that he said it, I'm like, how am
Yes.
I going to keep up with this? So by the time that Ma had come over, that was my 5th time watching it. And I'm like, I'm done. I'm going to know these lyrics now. And I'm
Right.
like, I'm not throwing away my shot. And then I had it. I was like, all right, I had this. I know what they're saying now. I'm good.
Right. And how did they, can you tell us again, how did they say it?
They're like, I'm not throwing away my shot. And it was so great because that really went to me. I'm like, I'm not throwing away my shot. I'm keeping it real.
Wow. Wow. And see, and that's what I meant. And I remember that part, because right at that part, when they said, I'm not throwing away my shot, I remember Morgan was on my show before and she said that. She said, I'm not going to throw away my shot. And she took that principle, right, from the play. And then she really carried that. Wow. This has been absolutely amazing having Morgan on the show tonight. Just you being able to express, thank you so much for being my co-host. Is there anything else you want to ask me before we wind down, before we go toward the end of the show?
I don't think so, but I just want to say that this has been a great show, and I really loved co-hosting with you, Ma. It has been great. One of the best interviews of my life. I mean, this has been amazing.
Wow. Well, one of the things I know we're toward the end of the show, that I would like for Morgan to do, Catherine chimed in, Morgan, just so you know, and she said, you're encouraging me tonight. And Carla chimed in and she said, great teaching. So if you had to say something to, you have mothers that are on tonight, your grandmothers that are on tonight, a kid might even watch the replay. What would you say to them to encourage them? What would you say to another child?
I would say reach for the stars. So like in class, we're doing like this project. What would you call a charity that you would make yourself? And I say reach for the stars. You want to know why?
Okay.
Because I need others. I just want them to. It's just in my mind. I'm like, you need to aspire to do this for yourself, or else
Right.
you're not going to get something for yourself.
Mhm.
You have to do it to get it. You can't just sit there, because like in life, like some people, like let's say now I'm a kid. If I'm lying down on the couch, I'm not going to sit there and be lazy and be like, hey, Derek, can you go get me some water? Even though he's closer to the TV and I'm closer to the water.
Right. Okay.
I can't just sit there. I have to do it myself, or else I'll never know how to do anything. So that's what I'm going to say to you tonight. Know how to do it and do it for yourself. You need to learn. If you fail, you get back up. and you keep going until you have it down packed, and there's always room for improvement.
Right. Wow. Morgan, you said a mouthful. You said something, excuse me, that actually us adults can take away as well. And you have definitely inspired. You have inspired us tonight that have watched the show. You've inspired children that are going to watch the show later on. You've inspired my team. So I am so excited, Morgan, that you were able to co-host with me tonight. And I am so excited because Morgan and I are always excited that we are able to take this show right here and plan for 2022. Now, y'all have to know Morgan will be coming back as my co-host again in 2022, which we are. Here's our famous word. What, Morgan? Excited. Excited that she's going to be coming back. Morgan, I want to take this time to thank you for joining us tonight as we close out for 2021. Real Talk with Jean Price has been an inspiration. It has been a motivation. And most importantly, I can dare say tonight that we now have a manifestation of what success looks like. And success is not always monetary. It just isn't. But me being a grandmother to Morgan Felician, I see success. I see where those values, those tools, those things that we have put in her as her grandparents and what her parents have put in her, this is what it looks like. And we want to say thank you, Morgan. Thank you so much for allowing those tools, even at 10 years old. Guys, can you imagine what Morgan is going to be like when she gets to be an adult? Man, Morgan, I think you're going to take my job, which would be fine with me because I would love to see Morgan be successful and be everything that God has for her. So for 2021, on behalf of Real Talk with Jean Price, we want to wish everyone a happy new year. We want you to stay blessed. We want you to be blessed. And Lord willing, we'll see you next year in 2022. Thank you again, Morgan, for joining me tonight on Real Talk.
Thank you for having me.
Okay. Good night, everyone.
Night.